Welcome, welcome. I am your resident Lisan Al Gabe, KitchenAid Whiskey Jones, here with the rest of the cool kids. And we are here to review, of course, part two of Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Frank Herbert's epic science fiction saga, Dune. And hell, let's just jump right into it. I will go first, and if you've seen this before, you know how this works. Folks, to quote the great Martin Scorsese, this is cinema. They said it couldn't be done. They said it was unfilmable, too intricate and complex for the big screen. The audiences would not appreciate it. They said Frank Herbert's Dune could never be adapted right, especially after the epic failure of David Lynch's 1983 version, not to mention the legendary failure of Jodorowsky's Dune. Enter Denis Villeneuve. The man who had already directed two highly regarded sci-fi films, in Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, decided to tackle the biggest science fiction saga of them all, Frank Herbert's Dune. This time, unlike the first one, whether through learning their lesson or Denis Villeneuve's street cred, and I'll let you decide, Warner Brothers actually decided to stay out of the way, giving the filmmaker the space and time needed to do it right. Whereas David Lynch was forced to shoehorn the entire book into a mere 2 hours, 17 minutes, an experience he regrets to this very day, Villeneuve was allowed two films, each pushing 3 hours, to tell the story correctly, with a third reportedly on the way, adapting the second book, Dune Messiah. If only they had done this with DC, yet I digress. While the first film was necessarily slow, taking its sweet time to set up the intricacies of Frank Herbert's complex saga, the second film literally begins with a blast. To borrow a phrase I've used for the X-Men series, the first film walks so the second one could run. Consequently, everything is bigger and better here. Greg Fraser's transcendent cinematography and Hans Zimmer's ethereal music provide the gorgeous backdrop for the complex tale unfolding on screen. Speaking of which, the complex tale was done correctly. Villeneuve actually took the time, like I said, during the first one to set up all of the politics of the Landsrad and surrounding the Landsrad and the Choam Company and the spice and the great houses and the Emperor. And here we see even more of it. He actually takes his time to develop the characters correctly. We see Paul go from an idealistic, conflicted young man who wants to help the Fremen to a man who, a sort of, I guess you could say, reluctant messiah. We've heard of reluctant hero. This is sort of the reluctant villain. Unlike the first film, Denis Villeneuve gets it. Paul is the real villain, as my main man down here, Romes, says with his title. Paul is the real villain here. He sees and he knows that he will cause a jihad that will cost billions and billions of lives across the galaxy, untold death and destruction. And he takes his time to develop it right. We see the machinations of the Bene Gesserit, including Lady Margot Finring, the Reverend Mother who serves the Emperor. We see Lady Jessica's machinations behind the scenes among the Fremen, how she sows Paul's legend and seeks to encourage belief in him as the Lisan Al Gaib, the Mahdi, the Kwisatz Haderach, to get him to embrace his role as the Kwisatz Haderach, which at the end he is forced to do in order to save his people, so in order to save the people he loves. And even though it cost him the woman he loves, even though he knows, well, spoiler alert, he does say that she will come back, and believe me, she does. So I'm interested in seeing how Villeneuve does that with the next one. The acting is fantastic. Everything is just working on all cylinders here. Like I said, the first one walked, so this one could run. Everything is just pumping on full cylinders here. This is when, like I said, I've said before, like I told these guys, this is when shit hits the fan, and it really does here. It's pretty much just he really does a great job balancing the character development and the action here, and there is plenty of action here from the Fremen's guerrilla war against from the Fremen's guerrilla warfare against the Harkonnen with the help of Paul, led by Paul Muad'Dib, as he is becomes known in this film among the Fremen. And to the, of course, the final climactic battle with the assault on Arrakeen, the capital of Arrakis, and Paul seizing the throne from the Emperor. The climactic battle with Feyd-Rautha. The Baron Vladimir Harkonnen's psychotic nephew, played very, very well by Austin Butler. You could tell he really, really loved playing this. They said he really loved playing evil. He said it himself, and he really just threw himself into this. Feyd-Rautha was really, really done right this time. I love Sting and the first one for all of its campiness, but this guy actually fucking scared. Is actually scary and psychotic in a very fucking scary way. So he is just the perfect foil for Timothee Chalamet's Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. So, but honestly, I cannot think of a single flaw with this film. I cannot just think of a single flaw. I didn't notice any pacing issues, honestly. I was into it the whole time. I saw how, everything was necessary to me, even Gurney Halleck pointing him out the nukes, which he ultimately rejects to use because he sees that's part of the vision he sees is just how bad it could get. So ultimately, he took his time and did this one right, and I really, really fucking appreciate it. The changes he made from the books, there were some notable ones, notably Aaliyah, the little girl, his baby sister. She was actually born in the book. She becomes a kid. She is actually the one who kills the Baron. Spoiler alert. Obviously, she doesn't hear because she's not even born, but she does play a very, very large role because she talks to the mother, and the mother is kind of her voice. And Rebecca Ferguson does a fantastic job as Lady Jessica. She serves as kind of the voice of Alia, although we do see Alia in a vision as a grown-up, and it is played by none other than Anya Taylor-Joy, who is fucking fantastic, one of my very favorite actresses. Christ, for me, you just doesn't get any better than this, guys. I'm fucking thrilled. The changes they made from the book, I understand and I get, and I'm very happy with it. So this was a fantastic film for me. So this is a 10 out of 10. So maybe I'm biased here, but I know I'm not the only one. So because it's being very, very highly rated online by fans and critics alike. So, all right. Our resident Feyd-Rautha. Right, dude. I'll leave it to you, my man.
All right, let me go and pull up my review, and there we go. Okay. So, truth be told, I haven't read the Dune novels, nor have I seen the original film from the 80s, although I heard it wasn't very good. However, I will say when it comes to Dune, I have seen the first part of it, and when I first saw it, I found it a little too complex and hard to understand, but that was probably because I just wasn't familiar with Dune. I wasn't prepared and all. So what I decided to do was, before rewatching it, because I did rewatch it a few days ago, I had to be able to familiarize myself with the world and all, and just everything that's going on. And after all this knowledge, pretty much I rewatched the first one, and it gave me more of an appreciation for it now that was more familiar with the world of Dune, and I understand that. Yes, it is a bit slow, but the thing is that this is as as my man said, like the first part one is more just setting everything up. It's more about the exploration of the world. I could see how some people would be bored by it, but I mean, for me, now that I was able to understand more of this world, I was able to just have more of an appreciation for it. So, with all that being said, I was hyped for Doom Part Two, even more so even after watching the first part again and gaining more of an appreciation. Because just like what my man Mark had just said, shit hits the fan in Part Two. He did tell us that, so that got me more excited. And then me and him saw it last night, Friday night. We actually saw it in IMAX, and we got our Dune popcorn buckets. Go team AMC. And just after seeing it, all I gotta say is, wow, just wow. Of course, I mean everything is just fantastic for me. Of course, the technical aspects are still as great as the first one, like from the performances of Timothee Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Austin Butler, even some ones that have like smaller minor roles like Christopher Walken and Florence Pugh. Everyone does a fantastic job. Not a single bad performance. And you can also say, like, with the production and the costumes, the score, cinematography, all of that is top notch. And honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if next year, when the 2025 Oscars roll around, I wouldn't be surprised if this got a lot of not only nominated for the technical awards, but even more, but even like maybe even win some, just like with Part One. So, but I digress. The characters were more fleshed out and more interesting. I love Paul's like his arc of having to lead the Fremen to as and being seen as like a messiah, and like there's some that have their doubts and all, and some of them do believe that he is the true messiah, and he proves himself and all, and it's just very interesting. And I also loved Austin Butler's character, Fred Rotha. He was such a badass in this, especially when he's fighting in the Coliseum. It was just so awesome to watch. And speaking of the action, I thought it's obviously a lot better here, and I was just on the edge of my seat the whole time. And I also love that scene where Paul is riding on the sandworm. I'll admit that was really cool. Pacing, honestly, the pacing never really bothered me, and I really didn't feel the runtime, although I'm pretty sure some people on this panel will probably disagree with that statement, but you'll get to that when we get to it. But it's like, it didn't really bother me. I was just on my edge of the seat, and I just never felt the 2.5 to 3 hour runtime. So, maybe it's just because I was more able to understand more of this world, and I was just so invested. And to be honest, just like my man, I really can't think of anything I want to complain about. This film is just fantastic, and I would say that I would highly recommend it, whether you're a fan of the books or if you're a newbie. I know that we're only in the beginning of March, but I could see this. I could see this being a possible contender for my favorite films of the year. But I mean, we still got another 9-10 months to go before we can even before I can even confirm that or not. So, but we'll see. But all in all, I mean, yeah, if whenever there is going to be a Dune R3, all I gotta say is I'm sold, and that's why my score is just like with my man here, perfect 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention that this was one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
not only because I'm seeing an adaptation of one of the best, my favorite science fiction book, one of my favorite books of all time.
exactly.
But at the same time, being with friends, sharing that with friends and family, seeing it IMAX and everything,
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. Like Kaylee said, how am I ever? Because she didn't even know what IMAX was before we'd seen it, and she's like, how am I going to go back to watching movies any other way now? after this.
I assume in a packed theater as well. I assumed like it was
It
packed.
was.
For me, it was packed.
It was.
So
It
that's
was
also kind of adds to the experience of it.
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. It was.
My
Yeah.
theater was packed too. In fact, I got one of the last tickets of the showing that I got, so I
Yeah.
just barely made it.
Mine wasn't packed.
Mine wasn't
Okay.
either. It was just some 20 people who saw the movie.
All right,
mine
I
was-
got to do my review now. So everybody, shut up.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, oh, and also I showcased before, but I also have the Dune Ussy now. Gonna make a lot of popcorn with this. But yeah, I just so fucking stupid. Anyway, okay. So I haven't read the book, I haven't seen the original movie. I saw part 1. I didn't really care for it. I've come to respect it because, you know, it's Dune. Like, how do you not respect Dune? And so I didn't love it. It felt like I don't even remember like what I said, and the review is no longer up, so I don't know. But so Dune Part 1, I joked that it was like the best movie of 2006 because a lot of like those similar tropes of like the chosen one and all that. But it's like when you're looking back, it's like Frank Herbert made the fucking book before those were tropes. So it's like, it I gotta be like forgiving of it. It's just Villeneuve adapting the book proper as much as he can, so I give it like a little bit of leeway. I don't love it. I would give it like a 6.5 maybe, because it was just like 6.5. It was just really boring to me. But here, luckily, they rectified that. I don't think it's a masterpiece or a 10 out of 10 or anything like that, and we'll get to that soon enough. But I thought it was very well done. The acting was again spectacular. I thought Chalamet and Zendaya and like everyone. Austin Butler was definitely, as these guys have said, he was definitely the standout, even though he had a relatively small role. I could definitely see him in the future as maybe a Joker of sorts. I could definitely see him doing that pretty well. But he was great. I mean, Stellan Skarsgård was great. I mean, they were all fantastic. Like, they were all exceptional in their own and with what they did. And the thing is, I liked how the Fremen brought a sort of like humanity to it, I guess, because like a lot of the things that I didn't like, I wouldn't say I didn't like about the original. It's just the first one is that people were a little bit too stoic, a little bit too emotionless. I get that was the point, and like it's showing humanity 10,000 years into the future. So like obviously they're going to be different from today's humans, but like I like how still in this one there was like sort of like that like kind of camaraderie, the laughing, like the sort of like it brought that edge, and I really liked it. I thought the Fremen all did a good job. Javier Bardem was excellent. Rebecca Ferguson, I've said for years that Rebecca Ferguson is so fucking talented and so fucking underrated. That I'm glad that like she got a time to shine, unlike from Dead Reckoning, Tom Cruise. But that's beside the point. But yeah, and a lot of scenes that I was like, wow, these sequences are great. Like, as Rob said, it's him riding the sandworm for the first time was excellent, although not as awesome as the original Dune film, just because that rock and roll score is just fucking awesome in the original Dune. I mean, don't get me wrong, it like obviously they weren't gonna reference that here, but it would have been awesome to like maybe see a little bit of a musical, because that fucking score in the original is fucking awesome when they're riding the sandworm. So yeah, so and then there was the scene where the Fremen attack the Harkonnens when it's like where it's like cloudy, and like Dave Bautista is with the soldiers, and they like attack them one by one as sort of like, as Mark said, the guerrilla warfare type of thing. So I really liked that. I thought that was a great scene. This as Fade Roth's introduction with the Harkonnen home planet with the black sun, with everything being black and white. That was fucking amazing. And like kind of pretty much the entire third act was just excellent. That was, I mean, everything was great. So like I remember a lot of scenes from this. So I remember like a lot of scenes that were like, wow, that was great. If I had anything bad to say about it, is like I do still think it's a little bit slow. The first half was good. The first half was paced very well, but once the second half hits, it kind of gets a little bit slower. It didn't help that I was in the Dolby Cinema and those seats are like heaven. And they also had seat warmers. So they were so goddamn fucking comfortable. That didn't help matters. I was so comfy. I felt like I was in the fucking womb or something. Like I was just so goddamn comfy that didn't help matters either. But it was still, but I stayed awake. I wanted to stay awake because I was so interested in what was, going on and all that. So, so yeah, it's just like almost pretty much everything was great. Like it was just so much better. Like it just like the thing that stops it is the slowness. I wouldn't say slow and more methodical with its pacing. The second half, like it gets ramped up so much that like there needed to be some time to like slow down a little bit, so I get that, like, but it just like it was a little bit like if it was just a little bit quicker, I think I would have given it a 9, but like I can't. So, and I also wanted to mention again, I don't know how it is different from the book. I'm sure this happened in the book, or they got it, they can only include so much, all that, I get it, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more with Paul joining the Fremen, and then many months later when Lady Jessica has to leave to the south because of her baby. I feel like there wasn't a lot there because it was like a time jump. So I feel like if there was a little bit more there, like him like interacting with the Fremen more, it felt like a little bit too disconcerting. But outside of those two things, I thought it was very well done. And with Dune Part 2, Mark, I am saddened that you have unfortunately lived long enough to see your favorite franchises go down in flames, but I am happy with the fact that you've lived long enough to see one of your favorite books properly adapted. So I will say that, and with that, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I wish I can give it a little bit more, but maybe upon rewatches, maybe watching the whole thing, like part 1 and part 2 together, maybe I'll like it a little bit more. Maybe I'll like both a little bit more, hopefully, but that's what I give it for now.
Yeah, I couldn't fault it for the long runtime about it because to me it was methodical, like you said. But
I hate to say
your turn, my man.
I hate to say slow, but
Yeah,
I say methodical because it was the point. So usually when I say slow, it's usually a bad movie. So, and I don't want to say this is bad. So anyway, sorry, Devin.
Okay, before I get into my review, I'm going to say this now because I might say it throughout the review. This has been Dune, folks, with Mr. Thompson. But I don't know if you have the clip downloaded or not. Because that's your clip, man. I dedicated it to you.
I need it.
All right, I worked late. I didn't have time to write a review, so you're going to get a good old cinematic Sterling wing it review. I was not a fan of the first Dune. I have not read the books. I know nothing about the lore. I just found the first one to be a very beautiful looking movie, but overall, it was a slog. So I had no intention of rewatching it in preparation for this one. I know Mark was saying, since he's our Dune expert, he's like, Like I know you had an issue with, I know you guys had an issue with nothing really happening in the first movie, but I promise you, shit goes down in this movie. And yeah, he was right. I thought this movie was awesome. Once again, beautiful looking movie. I love the world. I love this universe. Characters are a lot more interesting, a lot more fleshed out. Acting was fantastic. I love the chemistry between the characters. I loved the action scenes. Shit actually fucking happens in this movie, and there were so many moments where I'm just thinking, "Holy shit!" It's on like the big action scenes. Paul riding the giant sandworm. Fade Rutha's introduction, and I know I called him the I jokingly called him the love. He was the love child of Bill Skarsgård and Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins. Because at first I actually thought it was Bill Skarsgård just because of the shape of his face and not Austin Butler. I'm like, oh shit! But yeah, he was badass. Paul and Chani had excellent chemistry together. There were so many twists and turns I did not see coming. I was not expecting Paul to become evil. That like shocked the fuck out of me. Like seeing him become like corrupted. And they said that he goes to Florence Pugh's like, I'm gonna marry you. I'm like, huh? Wait, what? Okay then. But yeah, shit does go down in this movie, and I'm glad it does. The reason I can't give this a perfect 10 out of 10 like Rob or Mark is I did feel the runtime in this movie, and I did feel it was pretty slow. Like at the points where, at some points, I mean, yeah, I was interested in invested in what's happening, but at points I'm like, oh, all right, let's speed this up, let's get this over with. And I agree with John. It was definitely during the second half where things started to become like really slow. But overall, yeah, I thought this was a damn good movie. Highly recommend it. If you were disappointed in the first Dune like I was, this will definitely make up for it. And I give it an 8 out of 10.
Very good, my man. Appreciate it. Rome's, you're up.
Sweet. So why is Paul the real villain? It all started when he drank worm piss. Literally, blame the worms. So can we all fair to say that Denis Villeneuve is one of the greatest sci-fi directors of all time? I mean, he set the bar high for sci-fi movies. Blade Runner 2049, Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2. He just continues raise the bar for sci-fi movies, films in general. I mean, this is one of those films you have to go watch in theaters. Nowhere anywhere else, whether it's in IMAX or just a regular standard theaters. You have to see a movie like this in theaters. It is put together. Everything's just timed right. Good story, good character development, good world building. Everything from you saw from Part 1 is just fleshed out in Part 2. He does a good job really trying to make this very self-contained for those who haven't seen Part 1. Like, you can go and watch this. You get a little bit more of understanding of certain characters, certain things that happened in the first movie that kind of like references from that movie to this movie. So it helps newer audience who just want to see more action, more stuff going on than the first one. The casting I thought was either great or good. I thought Timothee Chalamet was great. Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin I thought was awesome. I really loved some of the little moments he had with when he reunited S. Gurney and when he sees Paul again. That was a really great, nice moment between the two of them after what happened in the first movie. Dave Bautista I thought was good. Even though he has a smaller role in this, I thought his performance was better than anything The Rock ever would put out in his own movies. Florence Pugh was good. Stellan Skarsgård was good. Zendaya, they were all good. It was nice to see Christopher Walken back in a movie. I thought he was good. I didn't think it was great, but it was just nice to see him. Austin Butler, I thought, who played the psychotic. Fayad Rutha, he steals every scene he was in, and I kind of wish he had more scenes in this movie because we just wanted to see more of his character and just what else is he capable of doing. There's no bad acting in this film. Everyone gives their A+ game performance. Action sequences, the fight choreography were all great. There are a few oh shit kind of moments while experiencing part two. I did love some of the big action battles that happen, and there were a lot of really good oh shit type moments. I forgot the planet where the Baron was from, but I did like we got a bit of a change of a black and white. Mark, do you remember that? Do you know what that planet was called?
Geedy Prime.
Geedy Prime. Okay, Geedy Prime. Yeah, I really love the change of like black and white. It was. I wanted to see a little more of that because you got a really good of like just a really beautiful sci-fi movie overall. I would say the negatives about this movie. There's really no negatives. I mean, maybe if it was rated R, I would say more blood, more stuff with Fiat, and just some of the craziness that he would be doing. I did see the 1984 movie, so I did have a little bit of a remember from the original going into part two, and after seeing part one a couple of times, so a little bit. But overall, it's just a great movie all around. I mean, I want to see it a second time. I really like the movie. I want to when I saw part one a couple more times after it came out, I really liked it more, really enjoyed it more, and I think when I see part two a second time, I'm probably gonna love it more. And I feel like the only way we're gonna get a part three if audiences go see this fucking movie. You have to see this movie. It is it's a special attraction. It is a movie that it's why we go see theater. It's why we go to movies in theaters. It's what we go to see a movie to get out of reality, get out of our own bullshit. I mean, when I saw this movie, I was dealing with some crap already with work, and seeing this movie just got my mind cleared, and just I didn't have to think about anything else but this movie, and just have a great experience watching this movie. I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's just so much to take in after seeing it the first time. Maybe if I see it a second or third time, I might give it a 10 out of 10, but it is a classic sci-fi movie and probably one of the top 10 greatest sci-fi movies of all time. My score is a 9 out of 10.
Fantastic review, brother. You nailed it. Fantastic.
Thank you.
That's a great point about Geedy Prime, too. I love the design. All right, Zach, finish us out, my man.
All right. I think it's only fair to just talk about just Dune in general first. When it comes to the source material, aside from reading the book once, I think I was in middle school, I don't know jack shit about the source material. So, but of course, I know what it is. I know it. I know the book. I know it's very iconic. It's that Star Wars was inspired by. I know all the legacy. I just haven't read it, and it took me a long time to watch the first one. I don't know why I never got around to it when it came out. I just didn't. But finally watching it a couple days ago, I liked it, but I didn't love it. I thought it was a little too dialogue heavy in certain moments, and it could have had a bit more action, but I got it. It was the setup, the build up. Run so the next one can walk. And the fact that what was going on with the characters had me invested, it didn't bother me. So I would just say the first Dune is a solid 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Going into this one, holy shit. I don't think I have seen anything like sci-fi fantasy this good since Return of the King. I would put this on the same level of epic as like something like Lord of the Rings. Because I'm just going to go into what my favorite scenes were. All the action scenes, stellar, better than the first one. I know it's not fair maybe to compare it to the first one because the first one doesn't have that much action because it's the setup. But I thought the action was incredible in this one. And the Fade Ruth, I'm butchering the name, I know, but his fight scene in the arena, that's probably my favorite fight scene in the entire movie. And this guy was just fucking scary. And I would have sworn on my own grave that he was played by Bill Skarsgård, but apparently he wasn't. Could have fooled me. But the absolute best scene in the entire movie is when Paul first rides the worm. God, you can make double entendres out of that. But oh my, it's a scene like that that makes me wish this movie was in 3D. Because imagine at least this movie in 3D. Holy fuck, how the action could have popped out there. But my biggest positive overall, now after going out, now I'm going to talk about my favorite scenes. My biggest positive overall for the film is the conflict, the emotional, moral conflict. Does with Paul's whole dilemma of he just wants to help these people, but everyone looks up to him to be a messiah. So what does he do? Who does he side with? The entire time it was gripping, and it had me invested from second zero to the end of the credits. And I thought it was absolutely tragic how that tore him and Zendaya apart. Because again, I don't know the book, so I don't know how it goes. So I was like, well, damn, what? They're going against the usual love interest kind of conventions, okay. And Christopher Walken. Enough said. It's fucking Christopher Walken. You put him in anything, it bumps your movie up at least a letter grade. But yeah, I can only repeat what I've already said. I think this is one of the best sci-fi fantasy films ever made. It enhances how much I already enjoyed the first one. Like now, the first one is probably on the same grade that I'm about to give this one, but I loved everything about it. I loved the methodical pacing. I loved the conflict. The only thing that was sort of weird for me was the whole thing with Paul's mother, with what they're turning her into. Again, because I don't know the books and all that, so it just came up kind of weird for me that for such a drastic shift for her character. And if I have to, I gotta give the movie a negative. I'm sorry. I think that not acting wise, just character wise and written wise, but I do think that Dave Bautista was sort of wasted in this one. I know it all goes back down to the book, like that's how it was, like he's not used as much, but I thought it was kind of weird how he was just kind of killed off like a random lackey, which I know he sort of was, but I don't know. Like it was weird how they used him in this. Yeah. But overall, that one negative does not destroy the movie for me. So I absolutely loved it. It'll probably be among my favorites of the year. And this is an outsider's perspective, giving Dune Part 2 a 9 out of 10. Go see it. You won't regret it.
All right. Thank you very much, boss man. Shoot. What in the world is that static coming from? Am I the only one who hears that?
It's from Zach's computer. It's his.
Oh, okay.
It's his,
all right.
It's his,
Yeah, Zach's computer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Everybody, say it with me. Fade Rotha.
Fade Rotha.
Fade Rotha.
I knew I fucked it up first. That's why I then said Fade Rotha.
I know you guys
Rotha.
say Fade Rutha. Fade Rutha.
Rutha.
Yeah, Fade
Yeah,
Rotha.
fucking-
Shut up.
Holy,
Fade
Fade
Rotha.
Rotha.
Fade
Fade
Rotha.
Fade
I know.
Rotha. Fade Rotha.
they could have made
Yeah,
this guy
I
the
just-
villain of the movie.
I really dug like everything they did as far as like showing the backdoor politics of the Bene Gesserit, how they manipulated everything with the bloodlines. I love the scene with Lady Margaret Fenring's seducing Fade Rotha. So they want to test that they can control him, and that they're setting that up for part 3. So
Oh yeah.
clearly, yeah, because she's like, the bloodline is secure. I'm not sure if I remember that part from the book. I know Lady Margaret Fenring is in the book, and she plays an important role. But I do. Chani in the book, she never leaves him in the book. But I see why they did that, because she was the voice of reason here. She was, because I think Villeneuve really went out of his way to highlight how this prophecy is not really a good thing. How this is not really a good thing with what he has done here, because the whole point of the book, Frank Herbert intended this to be a warning against blind faith, blindly following charismatic leaders.
Yep.
So Paul
Absolutely.
is not the hero. He was never intended to be the hero. And what Villeneuve has done here, brilliantly, I think, is take the reluctant hero trope from Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey, and just flipped it. Exactly. The hero's journey flipped it. So he just flipped it on its head. So he
Yeah, and yeah, sorry, did I cut you off?
no, you're fine. You're right.
Okay.
You didn't.
I like how they did it because I don't know, it just makes the first one a little bit better because like a lot of the things as I mentioned in my review, it felt a little tropey, a little cliched, but the fact that it leads to more of the reluctant villain rather than the hero's journey, it definitely feels like that. And I'm curious I haven't seen any of this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was like discourse from a certain side to be like, oh, this is the white savior story, when it was like, it's really not.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked if there were people that thought that, because
there's a very good, I'm sorry to cut you. I'm just going to say,
no, you're good.
Very, very good channel I watched a lot of recently about. He does a lot about Dune. You know, he's a big Dune fan, and he has a video.
Is he a black guy with glasses?
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. I forget his username, but I know who you're talking about. I watched a couple of his videos.
Exactly. He has a video about that. He made some just excellent points. I think
Man Carrying Thing also did it. He's kind of like, he's a comedy sketch channel, but he also does a lot of book reviews, and he did a lot of stuff on Dune when that first came out. So he did a lot of good stuff too. Because when you go back to the text, and I'm pretty sure that I'm quoting the video here, but like when you go back to the text, Frank Herbert almost gave no description into what people looked like. He gave pretty much no description.
It's like olive skin. It's like dark
olive
skin.
skin, and that's all we got. Like that was it. And I kind of liked that. How I wouldn't be shocked if Villeneuve kind of inserted it with the Fremen mostly being it looks like black and Hispanic people. I wouldn't be shocked if he included that as sort of his own flair, but I don't think that's what they were like kind of going for. And I liked how it was like,
you know, in the Dune novels, it's explained that the Fremen originally came from this people called the Zen Sunni warriors. Well, put that together, Zen is in Zen Buddhist, which is from Japan. Sunni is in Sunni Islam, so clearly Middle Eastern. So it's clearly some type of Asian, you know, Islamic sort of people who colonized Dune, and you know,
I mean, the whole basis of this was like the whole like oil in the Middle East type shit. So like that was like the whole like basis of the concept of the story.
Exactly.
So it's not shocking that they put it. So I think a lot of things about this were definitely improved upon. It was kind of like something I'm like, I wish I liked it more. You know, I wish I could give it like a 10 out of 10. I wish I could give it like, oh, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. I mean, it's the best movie I've seen all year so far. Yeah. But that's kind of a low bar considering the movies we've reviewed. We got, you know, Kingsman, but worse. Tim Burton, but worse. And then Coen Brothers, but worse. So,
and generic biopic number 279.
Yes.
and Winnie the Pooh, but worse. Yeah, Blood and Honey 2 is coming out this month.
Also, can I add about Zendaya?
No, don't care.
Can I also add about Zendaya and Shawnee? I thought one of my favorite scenes in that movie was her just, I'm paraphrasing, but like basically telling everybody, wake the F up. You know, you're gonna you're not gonna get freedom. You're gonna get re-enslaved again by believing in whatever, you know, just believing in the Messiah, your God. Like
this to enslave us. That whole thing.
You know, like just
he is the Messiah, and I followed a few in my time.
And again, that's another sign of like, wake up, people. Paul is the real villain.
Yeah, exactly. That's her role in this, and I love how he made her the voice of reason. So it makes sense from that perspective, because she doesn't leave him in the book, but it makes sense why she would leave him at the end here. Although, like he says, she's going to come back, because Jeff was like, "I'm really sorry about
one.
Charlie.
It's Zendaya. It's Zendaya. You have to bring her back.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, I don't know, just like, I'm like, how in the ever-loving fucking shit of the holy Muad'Dib did WB produce this shit? How?
Holy shit,
I'm like watching this. I'm like, how in the fuck do you like produce this shit? But then 99% of the other crap you shill out is garbage, and you don't respect anybody.
I know.
Remember, kids, there was a point in time where WB actually, WB released classic after classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Those were the days.
For real.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Don't worry, that'll be happening again soon with Twisters.
For every Iron Giant and Clockwork Orange and Wizard of Oz, you get a Space Jam 2.
Justice
Hell,
League.
even Iron Giant,
Justice
they
League.
fucked up, Devin. They fucked
Yeah,
up.
they
did.
didn't fucking market it properly because it was 2D animation. Well, that 2D animation was going out the door, so they didn't market it because they didn't believe in it. And they're like, "Oh, see, look, it bombed." Like how we thought. No, because you didn't fucking market the damn thing. You fucking morons.
And look what we have now. We have a fucking classic. And
Yes.
what sucks is Regal is doing a re-release of this for this Saturday and next Saturday. And one of my goals in life is to see it on the big screen. Here's the problem. Showings are at 11:30. And I work every Saturday until 5.
Colin sick.
Yeah.
Colin's sick, dude. Seriously.
Yeah, Colin's sick.
You know what? I
You may
still
never
think
get
it,
another
At this
chance
point, you
again.
only live once. Fuck it. You
Fulfill your life goal, man. See that.
just
in
be like,
theaters.
sorry,
Yeah,
I
see
came
it.
down with no. You should be like, oh, sorry, I got back from the doctor and I have an iron deficiency. I gotta
There you go.
stay home.
I have
I gotta
We're
take
serious,
care
Conan.
of that.
We're serious.
I have-
man.
It would be kind of awkward if one of Devin's coworkers saw that. Seeing this right now, I mean.
Seriously, though, man, take the time to go see it. Take it from someone who finally got to see his favorite movie on the big screen. I would have skipped out on work for this. too.
Yeah, like you wouldn't. I didn't. I like when I got to see like I almost cried at the end of that movie. If it wasn't for with friends of mine who would have made fun of me if I cried, I probably would have cried. Like you gotta do it. Just do it. Just do it.
I got to see. I'm lucky. I got to see Nightmare Before Christmas re-released on the big screen, and that was a huge dream of mine.
Yeah, I
And
saw that. I saw
in the
that.
words of old Steve Trevor, like, what was it like? It was
Amazing.
beautiful.
Now that me, Thanos, man. When I saw Titanic, was it worth it? It was, and it was beautiful.
They're supposed to be re-releasing. What was it? Is it next year or this year? They're supposed to be releasing. It's episode 3, isn't it?
Episode
Star
1.
Wars.
Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah, episode
That's
1.
episode 1.
This May 25th.
Oh, okay, episode 1. Oh, that's right. I think you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I'll
Because I'm going to
go-
take Jack because Jack's never seen a Star Wars movie in theater, so I've got to take him to see.
Oh, and his
So,
At least he's going to see one of
That's
the-
kind of sad.
At least he's going to see
Well-
one of the good ones.
I saw Phantom Menace when I was 10.
The
And
not Disney movies is if it's the prequels,
No.
it's not that much of a bar.
Is
It's
you know what
not- it's
pisses
kind
me
of a
the
low bar.
you know what pisses me the fuck off though, because
Everything.
back around like
not
2012 or
episode
so,
3.
back around 2012 or so, they said they were going to be re-releasing all 6 of the original Star Wars in 3D, and they only did Phantom Menace. I got to see Phantom Menace with my family. They took us all to see it.
Yeah, they had to cancel it because then Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
And then they canceled that.
How
Yeah.
fucking pissed I was because, I mean, don't get me wrong,
What
like
else is
just not being able to see all the rest of the
Speaking of idiotic studios,
because especially to not be able to see Revenge of the Sith, the magnum opus of the franchise.
So let's get back to
well,
talk about a better sci-fi movie called.
yeah,
Dune.
let's talk
Yeah.
about actual
Yeah.
Dune instead of the franchise that ripped off Dune.
Disney take
Yeah.
that.
Let's yeah, exactly, because we did.
Like George Lucas making Star Wars, gonna take a bit of John Carter, gonna take a bit of Flash Gordon, gonna take a bit of Dune, gonna take a bit of this Western samurai
Yeah.
films, and I'm gonna put it all
I mean,
in this
I
big
never
pot.
liked John Carter.
All right, but anyway, let's get back to Dune. So, I mean, I really love the art direction here and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that it wasn't randomly black and white because I wonder how he was going to do that. But I mean, was it just randomly black and white when you got to see Fade Rotha fight in the arena? It was
Yeah.
actually a black sun. Jack was sitting there asking me that theater, Dad, what is a black sun? I guess that
Found out.
There you go.
That
Black. Exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. No, but we don't care. It looks pretty.
Exactly. Who gives a fuck? It looks cool as hell.
Mark,
Exactly.
that scene when you see the black and white, just how he does it, like the picture
Oh,
of it, I
yeah.
still have it in my head. Like That's part of the
seriously,
reason
man.
why I want to see it a second time, just to enjoy that scene.
Oh
Just
my
how
god,
it-
yeah,
exactly.
the
It's
fireworks and
black-
everything. Oh my
Yeah.
Black
god,
and white
it's-
cinematography done right is just so good because, like,
Oh my
It is
God.
I'm
beautiful.
That's
probably
great.
I'm probably gonna get shit for this, but when I went to go see Godzilla -1 minus color, it just didn't look that great because the intention was not that it was supposed to be black and white. It was supposed to be in color. That's why it looks better in color and not better in black
Yeah.
and white.
I actually didn't
Yeah.
agree.
Well, you haven't seen it in color, so you don't know. But
I know, but what I appreciated about it was that it felt like a callback to the OG.
no, I know
Godzilla
the
and
intention of it. It just when I went to go see it, as someone who's studied cinematography and has like
Mhm.
kind of an eye for it, you can tell like when the intention was black and white photography versus not, and you could tell it's not. Like for instance,
Yeah.
I started watching. Unfortunately, I never finished it. The black and white version of Mad Max Fury Road. The intention of George Miller was that it was supposed to be in black and white because he wanted it to be unique. But they're like, no, so that's why he upped the saturation instead.
Yeah.
But when I started watching that, it looked great because that was the intention from the beginning, that it was supposed to be black and white. And when black and white cinematography is done well from that intention of the beginning, it looks fantastic. When it's just a filter put on, you could tell it doesn't have that like eye, like because with black and white cinematography, you gotta really make sure it fucking looks right, or else it's gonna look like complete shit. Like
Yeah.
Mank, for instance, like the way David Fincher did that movie, it just did not look good because one, he did digital and it was like just a filter. So it just, and he clearly the guy they got didn't have an eye for that, but
Yeah.
Greg Fraser did, the cinematographer for Dune. So it looked fucking amazing. It looked beautiful.
did.
So
What I loved about the black and white in this
Yeah.
arena scene was that I think it added to the intimidation factor of Fade Rough.
yeah,
Yeah, really did. Yeah, I love how when it was like a negative because I mean when the Baron came out, his black clothing appeared white. So it's
Yeah.
wow, it's like geez, really fucking beautiful.
it looked really special. It
Yeah.
looked really
It really
amazing.
did.
And
Jesus.
I'm really curious
Frank
about
Fraser
how they'll
is
do Dune
something
Messiah.
special.
Like, because I don't know a
He's
ton
really-
about Dune Messiah. I just know like vague things. Because from what I know of the books, and I know Mark, you've probably studied more of the books than me, even though I know you've only read 2. But from what I know, is that Dune is the sci-fi Bible that's considered like amazing.
Mhm.
Dune Messiah, I've heard, is not that great purely on the grounds it's simply a bridge between Dune and Children of Dune.
Yes,
And it kind of doesn't, it's more of a simplistic story. So a lot of Dune fans who are into more of like the weirder, like complicated sort of like world, it's not a lot of people like it, but some have said it's underrated because it's just
I
like
think
it does what it sets
but
out to do.
I get why. Yeah, exactly.
And then I've heard Children of Dune is good. I've heard God Emperor Dune. I've heard that's the best in the series. I've heard God Emperor Dune is the best. And then I've heard Heretics of Dune is okay. It's either switch. It's either Chapter House Dune, which is the final book, was not very good, and Heretics of Dune was good, or Heretics of Dune was not good, and Chapter House of Dune was good, if I remember that correctly. But I'm not sure which one. And then we got the Brian Herbert novels, and we don't talk about those. So Sandworms of Dune, and then the other one, which was
the funny thing is when Kaylee was reading about this last night because I was trying to explain Dune to her last night, because exactly right. So and she looked it up. She's like, okay, what the fuck was Frank Herbert smoking? What the fuck kind of drugs was Frank Herbert doing that his son becomes a fucking giant sandworm and shit. And Emperor, I was like, yeah, God Emperor of Dune. Exactly. Yeah, that's Emperor Leto II.
Yeah, Hunters of Dune and Sandworms of Dune were Brian Herbert's.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happens to God Emperor of Dune. And fun fact, I didn't realize this. I literally got this article right after I saw the movie. Devin, you'll maybe appreciate this. But apparently an episode of Billy and Mandy referenced God Emperor of Dune. and it was in like season 2 or something, where like Mandy becomes one with like a worm.
Yes.
So
Oh my god, that episode was so fucking funny.
Apparently, you know what? If they like Dune, might as well. But like, I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
Oh, that was such a good episode, and I think Dexter's Lab made a reference to Dune. Like, so the first like official series finale before they were doing it was a movie called Ego Trip. It was about Dexter meeting past and future versions of himself to see how cool he is, only to learn that that Mandark took over the world, and the evil overlord version of Mandark looks like the big fat guy.
The Baron. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like and like same way, like he can't walk anymore, and he has to be like moved around by like some kind of like machine. At one point, he's moved around by a forklift.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's I would love for them to get to God Emperor Dune. Just to
it's going to take them several years to adopt these movies, especially if the rest of these books are all
just stop with the third, but
like, especially if all these books are just as massive to where they'd have to make 2-part, even 3-part adaptations. It's going to take them years to make movies out of all these.
Well, I mean, no, I doubt it, because Dune Messiah you could do in one film. It's not
that's definitely a one film. It's very short. It's very short.
Yeah. Exactly.
Comparatively to the rest of the series.
Exactly.
That's Warner Brothers.
I think we'll probably just name it Part 3, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it makes more sense.
It's Warner Brothers. Remember the last time they took a short book and forged a trilogy?
That.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Although I did want to bring that up, ironically, Lord of the Rings. It's like when I watch this again, having vague idea of the original David Lynch version, I felt more bad for David Lynch even more than I already did, because I'm watching the entirety of this movie. I'm like, Warner Brothers wanted the entire fucking thing of this to be in the last third of the fucking movie. That would be like if they made Lord of the Rings one movie and they made Return of the King the last 10 minutes. That makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, no, it really does not. No. Yeah.
Now, I know we've all praised Denis Villeneuve for being a great science fiction director. I mean, yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I've always had this question. Do you think Denis Villeneuve will have the balls to adapt I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream?
I would love to see that.
I want to see someone make that movie.
You know who else could be who could adapt that really well? Robert Eggers.
Oh, Robert Eggers would be awesome.
Especially if Nosferatu is that good and he can show he can adapt stuff, that would be awesome.
So, does anyone here know anything about that story? Like, know what it's about?
I've read the summary. I haven't read the actual story, but I do know rough outline. But yeah, it's fucked up.
So,
Harlan Ellison, gotta love him. Yeah,
so it's a short story by Harlan Ellison, and it's about a supercomputer that becomes self-aware and takes over the world, wipes out half of humanity, but only keeps 5 people alive to torture them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Yep. And the last and the title is a reference to the last line of the book, which we won't spoil. But yeah, it's fucked up. It is very fucked up.
Well, I need to
ask. I don't know if I would want to see a full film of that because it's a short story. So I don't know how good that would be as a full-length feature. But I think it could be interesting.
I think A24 should adapt it because you want to know why? The villain wins.
Oh yeah, we know they love
kind of, yeah.
I don't know, because isn't humanity really the villain here? I mean, shit, who wouldn't want to wipe out humanity? God damn it.
But
Thanos had a point. Anyway,
good back to Dune.
Yeah. My topic is that. What the fuck was David Lynch even thinking? Not just thinking that he could tell the entire story in 2 hours.
It wasn't his fault.
It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. That's the thing. They told him, like I said in my review, though, Zach, they told him he could only had one movie to do this, and it could be no longer than 2 hours and 17 minutes. That is the
For
exact
that?
length of the film. He made it as long as he possibly could. It is the only film in which he did not have script control, have final cut. He did not have final cut. Actually, he said he technically didn't on The Elephant Man, but Marty Scorsese, not Marty, but Mel Brooks gave it to him anyway. So
I fucking love The Elephant Man.
yes, he had
Yeah.
final. So it's the only film in which he didn't have final cut, and it was the worst of the experience of his career. And he says he'll never do it again. So I
Yeah.
mean, he will never. He always insist on final
That's
cut.
why when like people ask
Oh,
him
bummer.
like when the first part of the Villeneuve adaptation came out, he's like, I don't give a fuck. Why do I give a
Exactly.
fuck? That was the
Yeah.
worst. That was the worst experience of my career. I don't give a shit.
Exactly. I don't give a fuck.
And he's still- He
Well,
he
then
just
in this
owns that
case,
movie.
then-
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
case, then
I don't
what the-
blame him. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. I
That's
don't blame
and the
him.
thing is, he had to also shorten the beginning so that the princess like gave this overly long monologue to fucking explain everything
Yeah.
because he didn't have the time to show it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that
Exactly.
case, then what the fuck was the studio thinking?
'Cause
Not
they're
only thinking
idiots.
they
Because
could
Warner
tell
Brothers.
the story in what two
Because
2
Dino
hours
De
and
Laurentiis
17
is a
minutes?
fucking asshole sometimes.
Because here's the thing, like even if you had 3 hours, there's no way you're telling the story of Dune in one movie.
No, you're not. But I mean, you're not. But I mean, I'm actually very grateful that the Warner Brothers that they did. So I got to say they came through this time. Honestly, still think it's Denis Villeneuve. I think he had the credibility to get them to do that. So,
Right.
Yeah. So okay, so I looked it up. So WB didn't do the original film. They were not even
It
attributed
was,
to the original
it
film
was
at all.
Universal.
So distributed by Universal and produced by the De Laurentiis company. So blame Dino De Laurentiis because he's a fucking idiot.
oh, okay. All right. So, but
And also
yeah, that's
technically,
right. Right.
that WB, I mean, they kind of were attached, but it was more Legendary than WB. But I know Legendary is under WB, so it depends on what.
Are you guys thankful in that case then that Warner Brothers did this? Because I think I read up something that initially 20th Century Fox tried to get the rights to do it or at least when they were still Fox. I mean,
I don't know because I'm glad we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Another point I wanted to make that I was thinking about last night. Hans Zimmer. His music, of course, is fucking incredible as always. But I mean, one of the things that people say, I guess it could be complaint or negative, is that his music isn't as memorable. You know, it's not as memorable as, say, like Danny Elfman's for the Batman. You know, but I think there's a reason for that. I think it doesn't have that hook that those music does. It. I think his music tends to like feel way more organic in a way. It kind of blends into the background. It's not meant to stand out. It's meant to complement the film, not stand out.
but dude, I'll tell you though, music like this is why I always stay for the end credits in a movie. I was staying for the end credits in movie theaters before I knew end credit scenes were a thing. I just like staying for the credits to listen to the score.
I do too.
Yeah, so it's like you and I. Yeah, Mark. We pretty much stayed during the credits were rolling, to talk about it.
And I'll say this, like, not just this film, but just all of Dune combined. This may rival Dark Phoenix as my favorite score from Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Wait, did Hans
Dark
Zimmer
Phoenix?
Oh, come on. If you got to give Dark Phoenix any credit, it's that the score in that movie is fucking amazing.
I remember nothing from Dark Phoenix.
I forgot Dark Phoenix.
I honestly don't.
Take it from me, though, that the score
Thanks for reminding us of that.
You're welcome. But come on, though, we got to get
me now.
Like, even in the worst movie.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready? Ready! Now comes the part where
No, but for real, though, we gotta give credit. Like, even in the worst movies, like something even as poorly received as Dark Phoenix, Hans Zimmer is never the problem.
No, I mean, but it really works here. I mean, it's really gorgeous here. So, I mean, everything from the cinematography to the music, the acting, just
Everything is
everything.
top tier. It's just I wish the pacing was a little bit better. That's all.
Yeah,
This
like,
was
if I
there
had to
one of
do,
the most memorable
Also-
cinematic experiences I've had since this is up there with Maverick. And
This is probably the most packed I've seen a theater since maybe Across Spider-Verse.
yeah,
my theater was not packed at all.
Maybe Oppenheimer. I don't remember like Oppenheimer because the thing is
I
was
think
in,
Oppenheimer was. I was in the same theater. We were in the same theater.
Yeah, we were. It was packed at our theater, but then again, we saw it in IMAX.
Yeah, it was packed last night too. I think
was.
Oppenheimer was a little more packed. I think there were
Yeah.
just a few.
And I remember after we saw the movie, like I remember asking Mark like which was the better IMAX theater experience, Dune Part 2
Yeah.
or Oppenheimer, and that's honestly very difficult.
Seriously, yeah,
It's like
very,
apples and oranges.
Exactly.
I got to say, honestly, seeing that trailer for Furiosa last night in IMAX looked absolutely
Oh,
fucking
lucky you
amazing.
guys.
I
It
hope
looked-
it's
it looked
good.
incredible.
I don't have a ton of faith in it, but I hope it's good. I hope it's good. I
is
want
this
it to be
like
good. But
going to be a direct sequel to Fury Road?
it looks marvelized. It looks
It's a
very
prequel.
marvelized.
It's a spin-off. Yeah, it's
Well,
like a prequel.
It didn't look like that to me last night. It didn't look like that to me last night.
Because it looks like he's going for more like heavy CGI than practical effects, but that's just me. That's the way I saw it. But
I mean, hey, Chris Hemsworth in it. Just be thankful that Cockaway Titties isn't doing it.
I mean, it's George Miller, so I mean,
Yeah.
I got faith.
yeah, I hope. I mean, to be fair, 3,000
mean-
years of longing.
Not
Like
good.
I was gonna say if Furiosa turns out to be good, it will be Miller's apology for 3,000 Years of Longing.
So, excuse me, Mr. Genie, how do the wishes work? Well, you see, the year was 1327. Anyway, that is how I met the woman that eventually became my mother-in-law.
Okay, well, if this somehow turns into Furiosa sitting down with a fucking genie and talking for 2 hours, then I'll sit there, you're right. Until then, this is a goddamn Mad Max movie directed by George motherfucking Miller. So there's absolutely no reason to expect this shit to be bad.
It's just like,
Except, I will say one thing: I was not excited about thrilled at all to see Chris Hemsworth names up there. I'm like, oh fucking god,
He's the most famous Australian now. They gotta fucking include him.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Mark, remember like what other trailers were played? Like we were like the Twisters trailer was played, and then what was it you said about Zach?
I said somewhere Zach is wetting himself. Somewhere Zach is wetting himself.
dude, like, I'm calling it right now because I know, like, I'm the only one here that hopes that's looking forward to this, but I'm calling this shit now. If Twisters is good, like we all like it or think it's okay or whatever, it'll probably be a lot of our biggest surprises of the year.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
Well, I still plan on watching the first movie, but because it is on this round of my challenge.
I am going to rewatch the first Twister before seeing Twisters. I mean, because it's been so long since I've last seen it.
I will say that the first one was a great cinematic experience because, you know, especially with a theater with good sound, because with a great, like the one I was in Orlando when I saw it, because it was absolutely fucking stunning, the sound and the sound design, the effects in that movie. That was absolutely incredible because you felt like you were in the middle of a fucking tornado. So
I remember going to like a Universal Studios and they had like this Twisters ride or something.
Yeah.
Or show, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, and there's that, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, no Bill Paxton, no Helen Hunt, and
not confirmed.
Let's see if they survive a tornado with a belt to a pipe.
But here's the thing: they might pull a Ghostbusters Afterlife and a Spider-Man No Way Home, where it's like, are the original actors going to be in it? You have to go and see to see.
Oh, well, I doubt that. I mean,
Okay.
you know that Bill Paxton's not going to be there. If he is, they should be fucking
I would-
ashamed.
I would-
They have to refer him digitally.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
He died like years ago.
Yeah. Which that's an expectation I have, is that this movie has to be dedicated to Bill Paxton. It's one of the small pet peeves I had with Wonka was they didn't dedicate it to Gene Wilder. So, I mean, how Scream 5 dedicated itself to Wes Craven, so what the fuck?
Don't get John started.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I haven't been paying attention. Sorry, people keep texting me.
But overall, though, like, this is gonna be a damn good year for movies, though. In fact, I actually think this summer movie season is gonna maybe be the best we've had since 2019. I'm calling that shit.
Oh, because so far this year's been pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, because think about it. We got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Twisters, Deadpool 3. It's gonna be a packed summer, though.
And we also have
What?
The Crow.
Don't remind me, Devin.
Cinemarink 2.
Jesus.
No one thinks.
Look how they massacred my boy.
The
Oh, it
new
doesn't
our
look that
boy.
bad. I'm down.
But yeah, man, what do y'all think? This will be a good summer movie season.
Who knows?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Who the fuck knows?
I thought 2023 was a great summer movie season we've had in a while, so we'll see if it even gets close to that.
Yeah.
I would agree with you that 2019 was a great summer season.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to add for Dune Part 2?
Do we have anything else to say about Dune Part 2?
It's great. Go watch it.
Go see it.
Yeah, go.
I don't have anything to say about Dune, but I do have something to say about Denis Villeneuve. Full screaming mark. I got something to say.
Dun, dun.
John's got something to say.
I got something to say. WB. This is a fucking message for you. When Dune Part 2 inevitably makes a shit ton of fucking money, when Dune Messiah eventually gets greenlit and makes a shit ton of fucking money, I want you to fucking pay attention to me right fucking now. Pay attention to me right fucking now, WB. That means Denis Villeneuve is gonna be your fucking golden goose. And I want you to really fucking pay attention to me right now. This motherfucker just said that he would love to work on a live action Batman Beyond. So I fully fucking expect in the near fucking future that you get this motherfucker to direct this goddamn live action Batman Beyond that we fucking need to see. You get fucking Paul Dini and Paul Burnett to fucking write the damn thing. And if you don't fucking make that fucking happen, I will personally go to fucking WB headquarters myself and castrate every one of you motherfuckers and behead James Gunn and Peter Safran and David Zaslav my fucking self. Do you fucking understand me? Do you motherfucking understand me right fucking now? Because if you don't, I will fucking do that. I will charge your fucking building. I will make all you motherfuckers pay if we don't get this fucking movie. He's your golden goose now. Doom Part 2 is going to make a shit ton of money. And Doom Messiah is going to make a shit ton of fucking money. So you better fucking make this fucking shit happen. I swear to God. I swear to fucking God. Make a good fucking decision for once. Thank you. Thanks for
You know, I love whenever John is angry, you hear that New England come out.
I was going for more of a New York.
Sound like more Italian to me.
I was gonna say,
He's from Connecticut.
he sounded more Italian.
I was going for more Brooklyn Italian, but that's just, you know.
Like, is this? Am I watching a scene from like a Scorsese or a Tarantino movie right now?
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Please make it
Fucking have
happen.
it star Timothee Chalamet. I don't give a shit at this point.
Great
Fucking
choice.
Tom Holland, Dylan O'Brien, one of them motherfucking heartthrobs. Get one of them. I don't give a shit. Fucking, he has declared that he wants to fucking do it. So you better fucking put him in the. You bet. I don't give a shit that you told the guy from Across Spider-Verse never. I don't give a fucking shit if you fucking said you'll never do a Batman Beyond movie because your shitty fucking Flash movie didn't make that happen. So you fucking better make that fucking shit happen. Animated, live action, I don't give a fuck.
James got to make that
it
happen.
fucking happen.
Make
We
it happen.
all
Make it happen.
want to fucking see it. Oh my fucking God. I don't care at this point. Give it to me. Give it to me now. Thank you. Again.
What's up?
You traumatized the fuck out of me, but
Mike up.
bravo.
Damn.
So my thoughts on Dune Part 2, be on the right side of history. Go see this movie in theaters. Watch it. Make the most money you can possibly make. If you want to see movies like this in the future, go see Dune Part 2. This is the standard for sci-fi movies. We don't want to see sci-fi movies being the same. This really introduces what sci-fi
I
movies
don't
are
want to
meant
see
to be.
more Marvelized stuff.
No more,
Yeah,
no more
we-
Star Wars movies like they're being made right now. No more Marvel movies. No more crap
Exactly.
movies.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
let directors, creators be creators, and let them create great sci-fi or great movies in general. Be on the right side of history. See this movie. Let this movie make as much money as possible, so we can get more movies like this.
Yeah.
Can we all agree that John always has the most Jesus fucking Christ moments on these streams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, here's an idea. How about I'd love to see them do more, Isaac Asimov and Ray Bradbury novels. I mean, shit. You're talking about sci-fi, older sci-fi shit.
Just
Jesus.
give Denis Villeneuve all the old sci-fi he could
Exactly.
possibly get his hands on, and boom, there you go.
iRobot. Let's see him do a faithful adaptation.
Maybe he can maybe he can do like even though it didn't work the first time, maybe that he could do a proper adaptation. He could do it like a good adaptation of John Carter that actually makes money.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know?
Or
Write that
iRobot.
man
Thing
a
is,
blank check.
The
Let him do what he
reason,
wants.
okay, here's the thing. Well, Disney owns the rights to John Carter, so the thing is, though, I can kind of see why they can't, because I think Andrew Stanton even said this. He's like, well, when I was making the movie, the thing is, George Lucas ripped off so much from John Carter that they couldn't make a proper movie, so they had to like kind of try to do something like original. So who knows? It would be nice to see, but like I can see why they can't. I could see why, especially if it's still owned by Disney.
That's true.
You want to know what? You know what I want to see Denis Villeneuve do? A fully faithful adaptation of War of the Worlds. I'm talking like it actually has the 1890 setting, like the book and everything.
But we've already had two big films of that. So I mean, you got the classic '50s version, and then you have, Steven Spielberg's recent. I think it's too early for that. I mean,
Which I still
I
think
mean,
it
the
is
BBC
Spielberg's
just did a
best movie. by the
miniseries, so
way.
we just got an adaptation. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Isaac Asimov's The Foundation trilogy. I mean, which would include iRobot, but I mean, which we've already had. But I mean,
iRobot,
Hopefully we'll get a more faithful adaptation.
I actually like iRobot. I think it's fun.
I like
I like-
iRobot.
I
too.
enjoy
Plus, it's got
iRobot.
Alan
Fun time
Tudyk.
watching
Alan
that.
Tudyk is always a win.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
yeah,
plus,
Absolutely, yeah.
can we give iRobot
Yeah,
credit for
iRobot's
something?
okay.
Yeah, even
I
if
love it, and I saw it in
iRobot
theaters.
even if iRobot wasn't the book, it was still on its own merits a really good, complex, like morally, philosophically complex robot uprising story on its own.
I would think so.
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters.
I did too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love iRobot. Yep, iRobot, Independence Day, Men in Black. Those are my favorite Will Smith films. At least his movies.
I was 5 years old.
Somehow
I was 15 when it came out.
I
Just
remember
don't
when it
like
came
it.
out, but I didn't see it because I wasn't allowed
I
to see
was
stuff
old
like
as
that.
fuck. I was still old as fuck. But hey, that's Dune.
Mhm.
Part 2.
Do you want
How
to?
you
And
doing?
I was gonna say, Mark. Do you want to play a clip that emphasizes all of our thoughts on it?
oh yes, absolutely. Great idea.
I love it.
All
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
and it
That
took the
was
first movie that I
beautiful.
liked, and it made me love that one now. So
Yeah.
go see it.
So, are we?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, go check it out. And if you, especially if you have an IMAX theater near you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, it goes IMAX or Dolby Digital.
Or like,
you know,
or yeah,
it's
like Diet
very good.
IMAX, like whatever, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I've heard Dolby Digital it's very good in that too. So,
Yeah.
but hey, that's our review, and thank you
And
very much. What's
wait,
next?
we need to announce the next.
That's what I'm saying. What's
Oh.
next?
Okay. So
Kung Fu Panda 4.
yeah.
Hello.
So, yeah, the next review we'll be doing is Kung Fu Panda 4, but
However, I was just saying, however, and then you'll
okay.
now.
However, we're gonna delay that an extra week, so that will be 2 weeks from now. Because next week we're gonna be guys. You know what time it is?
Oscar time.
Oscar time.
Must be a bunch
Yeah.
of bullshit and probably win because the Academy is run by morons.
So
And
yeah,
then the following week after, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
next week we're not going to be doing a review, but we're going to be doing the same thing we did last year and doing our Oscar prediction stream, going down the list, same thing as last year, and then Sunday night on the 10th, Mark is going to host the watch party. So I'll be hosting the predictions, and because me and him are the Oscar aficionados.
Yes.
The Oscar Myers.
Elemental for the win. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Fuck you.
No.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, and till next week. See you later, everyone. Once again, we have brought light to the world. You're welcome, America.